Hey, I was inspired to do this Facebook Live. I've been wanting to do it for a while anyway, but I was inspired because earlier today I took a taxi and I came across a situation which is so typical of conventional medicine doing some very screwed up, or giving some very screwed up advice. And I'm here in Brighton, in the UK, which is beautiful right now. Sun setting right in front of me right now. And anyway, this cab driver, very, very overweight, and we got talking. He was asking me what I did, told him what I do, and he said he was actually suffering from type 2 diabetes. And I said, that's interesting. I help people reverse that. I've already helped people reverse pre-diabetes, type 2 diabetes. And he said, this is interesting. And I told him about my book, and he said, cool, I'll look it up. So I said to him, what kind of treatment are you receiving? And he said, well, the doctor keeps on swapping over my medications. This guy's huge, really quite a big guy, by the way. And just keeps on swapping over the medications. And then they can't quite get a handle on it. They're kind of telling me to go easy on the carbs a bit. It'll make me feel better. But that's basically the advice they're getting. He's not getting any kind of nutritional advice from the doctors or the people that are caring for him. So I said, do you know what triggers type 2 diabetes? Do you know what insulin is? And he went, not really, no. I said, okay, here it is in a nutshell. Type 2 diabetes is the result of too much insulin as a result of having too much sugar or high glycemic carbohydrates. So here's what happens when you consume sugar or high glycemic carbohydrates. Your blood sugars spike very, very quickly, as if they've been injected like super, super hard with sugar. So your blood sugars spike really high, and then your pancreas secretes insulin to extract the excess blood sugar from your blood to prevent it from becoming toxic. So it has a very, very important function. Very, very important function. If it didn't happen, you'd probably die. So that's in the case of type 1 diabetes, is when your body doesn't actually produce this insulin, so you do actually have to take a medication for it. With type 2 diabetes, it happens due to overexposure of the hormone insulin from taking it in your diet. So you're physically taking in every day, several times a day, you may be actually eating the high glycemic carbohydrates consistently, thinking they're healthy whole grains, but they're actually very high glycemic. So the likes of bread, pasta, rice, whether it's brown or white, it doesn't matter, it's still very high glycemic. If you're having this throughout the day, several times a day, and then snacking on high glycemic snacks, that is what triggers very high insulin. And over time, the consistent overexposure to the hormone insulin is what leads to insulin resistance. And when you're resistant to insulin, you're then type 2 diabetic. So you're probably thinking, why are they using drugs? Maybe not. So the conventional practice is to give you a drug to moderate the insulin in your body, to moderate the blood sugars. The doctors don't say, stop doing what triggers it in the first place. They say, continue to do what you're doing currently and take this drug, and then everything will be fine. When in actual fact, couldn't be worse advice. Couldn't be worse advice. It's like saying to an alcoholic, hey alcoholic, here's some tequila, here's some vodka, snack on beer, snack on red wine, you'll be fine, absolutely fine. Oh, and take this medication to moderate those headaches you're going to get. By the way, how cool is this? This is the i360. It's about 350 meters and you see the whole of Brighton. So cool. So, the conventional advice for type 2 diabetes is to actually consume the very things that trigger it in the first place. So healthy whole grains, as an example, whole wheat bread is higher on the glycemic index than table sugar. So whole wheat bread is about 70, 71 on the glycemic index. Table sugar is around 50 to 60. So whole wheat bread, whether it's just bread or toasted, is going to trigger a sharper blood sugar response than table sugar. The American Diabetes Association recommends to eat healthy whole grains. In case you didn't see this. It's recommended. You can go onto the website right now. Don't do it now because you're listening to me. But you can go onto the website and you will see the recommendations that the American Diabetes Association is recommending people to eat who have type 2 diabetes. It's freaking crazy. What's even more crazy is the USDA food plate, the recommended food plate, which is the United States Department of Agriculture, recommends, obviously, healthy whole grains, massively subsidized by the government, milk, vegetables, and, dairy, and grains, lots of healthy whole grains. They don't even talk about fat. Now, fat is so important to regulate hormones and to keep, you can have a high-fat diet and low carb, and you don't trigger any insulin at all. They're not saying to eat any fat. So fat's essential for hormonal balance, for metabolism, to improve your metabolism, for brain function. Your brain's like 70% fat cells, and the rest of your cells in your body are 50%. So the USDA food plate is not recommending to eat the very thing that you actually need, like massively. So when I said to this guy, this taxi driver, I said, have you come across the high-fat, low-carb approach to living? And he went, nope. So I explained why that works for type 2 diabetes, because when you take out the high glycemic carbohydrates and you replace them with fats, you don't trigger insulin, or you trigger tiny amounts of insulin when you live a high-fat diet. So you're not triggering those blood sugar responses and the insulin spikes you do from having a high glycemic carbohydrate-loaded diet with sugar. You just don't give your body that option to do it. You're just having the healthy fats which you can fuel off for your brain and for physical energy, in fact. I did a whole kind of little series on the ketogenic diet, which brings me on to the next point. So he hadn't come across high-fat, low-carb, and he hadn't come across the ketogenic diet. So I'm like, what? Are you being told anything here? I mean, it's just extraordinary the kind of advice people are being given when the solutions are so freaking simple. They're so simple. If you've got type 2 diabetes, and if you're insulin resistant, it means you're having too much insulin, so you take out the high glycemic carbohydrates and replace it with fat. Or so the ketogenic diet takes out all the high glycemic carbohydrates, and you basically switch. You don't give your body any option but to burn stored fat. So I gave him a few little ideas, and I think he's going to take action on them. I hope he is. I'm going to follow it up with a few phone calls. But this is just a typical idea or example of how messed up conventional wisdom is, and it's so oriented towards the prescription of drugs. And if you look into type 2 diabetes and the medications for it, it's going to be a $60 billion a year industry by the end of next year. $60 billion from all the drugs used to treat type 2 diabetes. I've got a number of videos from real experts in diabetes on my site, mojomultiplier.com. It's so scarily simple to reverse type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance. It just means stopping doing the things that trigger it in the first place. And it just means shifting the way you think about food, understanding that your body can fuel off fat. Your brain doesn't need glucose. It actually can fuel off these ketones derived from fat cells. And, you could go into ketosis in 3 or 4 days, and you literally turn your body into a fat-burning machine. So, by the way, I've got to say this. I'm not a doctor, so don't take my advice without talking to your doctor first. I thought I'd have a little rant, because it upset me, actually, because this guy's clearly suffering, and all he's being told is, take this drug, take that drug, take this drug, take that drug. And I'm like, ugh! It's so simple. So, anyway, rant over. Have a look at Brighton. Beautiful. Beautiful. This is where I used to work out. Hove Lawns boot camps. Beautiful. And yeah. So anyway, does anyone have any questions? Anyone got any questions? Thank you for the love. Send me some love. By the way, if anyone's in Brighton, I'm here for a few more days. And I'm jumping on a plane out to Los Angeles. Yeah, Fabio, come down to the beach now. No beer though, no beer. Wine, red wine. Is it really off-putting to see me wander around like this? I just wanted to show you Brighton because it's so cool. There we go. Hove Lawns. If I do ever move back to England, I think this is where it's going to be. So I went to university. Had some of the best years of my life. As Fabio will agree, wine is good. Yes, wine is awesome. Wine is awesome. I say it's awesome because I follow some real experts in nutrition and they all drink red wine. And one of these guys is called Mark Sisson and he's about 65. He clearly walks the talk. He's absolutely shredded and he's in Malibu. He's a bit of a celebrity now. But he clearly, if I look like him when I'm 65, I will be as happy as Larry. Like, he's seriously healthy, no inflammation on that guy, and he'll live without medication to the day he dies. We don't need any medication, I believe. The chronic disease, well, in the state of chronic diseases, I really don't think medication has a place, unless it's type 1 diabetes. There are exceptions, of course, to the rule, but for the most part, I don't think for chronic diseases and illnesses, medication have any place in our lives. Medications have a lot of place in other areas, like particularly for emergencies and anesthesia and that kind of stuff, and vaccines for disease and stuff. Ultimately, for stuff like type 2 diabetes, even cancer, you know, if you watch the whole of the Truth About Cancer series, no need for chemotherapy, no need for radiotherapy, no need for surgery. They've done a phenomenal job over 9 episodes revealing how to get rid of cancer or how to prevent it. Whoa, almost got run over then. Yes, it is pretty. So beautiful, so beautiful. Check that out. Right. I'm gonna go and there's hardly anyone there now, so I'm gonna roll. I'm gonna roll. Fabio, call me. I'll call you actually. It's been so long. Recognise? Oh, that's where I used to live. There. Top of that building, overlooking this. Beautiful. I didn't mean to just kind of do a Facebook Live and show you where I live. Thought I would anyway. Still someone there. Who's there still? Rachel, are you still there? Haven't seen you for ages. Seen people go to Switzerland without me. Let's see my invite. Look at this. West Pier. I'm just giving you a sightseeing tour of Brighton now. See that big giant pole? That's the I-360. Just been finished. Get up there in about half an hour and then see the giant, no, I don't think it's half an hour, it's about 15 minutes. You see the whole of Brighton. It's a new landmark. Does anyone have any questions on type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance, carbohydrates, or fat, or anything health related? That's putting me into a big hole, potentially. Should be able to answer it. I know a lot. Who's got questions? Who's got questions? No questions? Okay, I'm gonna sign out if no one's got any questions. Paul, long time no see. Okay, if no one's got any questions, I'm going to sign out. Love you, leave you. Mwah. Until next time. If you have any questions on, well, type 2 diabetes, by the way, I've got to say this, I'm not a trained physician or doctor, and you can use my services in accompanying what your doctor says, kind of taking what they say with a pinch of salt. Kidding. I'm here to kind of coach alongside the doctor. If you need any more information, oh, by the way, if you want the first 2 chapters of my book, vitalitysecretbook.com, you can get the first 2 chapters, and then you can see a little video presentation, and you can see how I can help you take your health to the next level. I want to kind of talk about how easy it is actually to maintain your health and actually measure it, so diseases don't have to be a surprise. It's like a massive thing I'm working on right now. So there's all sorts of blood tests you can take, so you just constantly monitor your health, and you take into account what they are. You work on your diet, nutrition, stress, get them back to normal. You can get yourself into a really healthy state. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Love you, leave you. Ciao, ciao from Brighton.